Rise and shine, everyone, and welcome to Latinx YC, where we discuss all things related to U.S. politics from a Latino, Latina, and Latinx perspective.
How are you doing?
Muy bien, muy bien. Just, another cold day here in Massachusetts.
Cold and dark. So,
yeah.
For all of those enjoying some sunshine, do it for the team.
Exactly. Please enjoy it for us. Well, I mean, it is sunny here. It's just freezing.
Yes.
But anyway, my name is Clemencia Herrera, and I'm the founder of Moira Studio, an advertising agency that works on political and advocacy campaigns that target Latinx.
And I am Cecilia Del Cid, environmental and social justice practitioner, Latin American, immigrant from Guatemala, community weaver, and working on media.
Hello.
Aquí estamos otra vez.
Yes. So today's topic is an interesting one. We always say please chime in, but please chime in because
yes.
This is the only way that we're really gonna get things done. If we chime in, if we all chime in and we all, voice our opinions and our ideas, this is the only way that we will get things done, in my opinion, at least. Anyway, so the topic for today is that articles have been surfacing about Biden's approval rate falling among Latinos. So we're going to talk about why we think that this could be happening and what the administration could be doing. Some ideas. We'll come up with some ideas of what we think the administration could be doing to improve this approval rating. So let's dive right in. Let's do the issue first. Like why, according to the media, right? We're gonna talk about like what the media is saying because you'll see why. But let's talk about why the media is saying that the approval rating is down.
The articles are the first thing the articles that we read are pointing out is to the pandemic, right? That we are exhausted. Let's face it, all of us have been going through 2 years of this. It's not just this administration, but it's split between right now 2 administrations even. 1 year for the previous administration, 2021 for Biden administration, and this is the information we're seeing, like 9-10 months into the presidency, the Latino vote is feeling, a little deflated, like the approval rating is falling. And I'm not surprised. I think that our community we all were frontline workers, and 2 years of being out there in la primera línea will tire anyone. We're tired, we're exhausted.
Yeah. I mean, everybody thought that, fall 2021 pandemic was kind of, dying down. It was almost ending.
Yeah.
And no, surprise, there's, there's no lockdown, but, things have been closing just because people are sick. Flights have been canceled. People are seriously understaffed because people are getting sick. Like everyone around them was getting sick. So people are pretty tired. People in hospitals are pretty tired. The people that are working in healthcare are extremely tired. What else does the media say? I mean, the media is also saying that, big thing, and, we've talked about this before. My theory is that a big hot button topic, in the midterms is going to be the economy with Latinos. They are the ones that either got fired, they got pay cuts, or they're severely overworked and not getting paid more. So
more
Yeah. So like according to the media, this is what's going on, right? Another thing is
I think also the Build Back Better plan legislation it's not getting the traction that we thought it was going to. I feel like I don't know how, and I don't know how well there's been. I think it has some very helpful provisions that will help our community and the rest of the country. And I don't think the message of what is in that bill is being disseminated as well as it could have been disseminated.
Yeah, and
I don't think most of us understand what's in it.
Yeah, you bring a great point. So this is why we are starting with what the media is saying, because this approval rating, it's all about messaging and it's all about communications. Because first of all, as you said, Build Back Together, all we hear is the controversy with Joe Manchin and the Congress and blah, blah, blah. We all hear about the controversy, but we don't hear about what's in the plan or the things that have been done. This year in 2022, many states have raised the minimum wage. Congress did that.
Yeah.
Right? And it was I read about it because, it's my job to read things like that. But it's it barely made I don't know, it just made a dent in the media landscape. It's come on, guys. You promised this. You promised this in your campaign. You promised a higher minimum wage. Come on, drum it up. Let us know. Let people know. This is because we work for it. So it's there's this I say that this is an issue with the party. There's an issue with the party about, I'm just gonna do the work and be humble and not really, say a lot of things. Just gonna put my head down and do the work, and then people will notice. And as a business owner, I know that I could be doing the best job in the world, but if I don't go out and sell it, nobody's gonna know. I'm just gonna be working here in my little bubble. There's too many things going on. There's too many, things to read. There's too many things, at a local level. There's a pandemic going on. There's just so many things that are flying on front of people's faces. And the opposition is really loud. If the administration was as loud as the opposition, then approval ratings would be a different story.
And I do think that you bring some excellent points. I do think that the Republican Party is very good at messaging. We've talked about this. They are very good, very simple, very direct. They simplify very complete things, which tends to sometimes make them untrue, or really they are not the whole picture.
Yeah, because I also think sometimes it's we're gonna sort of graze over facts.
Yeah. So, this idea of we simplify, and people are to me it's always, my mind, in all honesty, cannot bend around why people think the previous administration did a good job. I do not understand it, because the facts do not lie. I don't understand it. I can't.
Well,
and
it's all a messaging.
Also be very transparent.
It's all a messaging thing.
But to me,
one thing that Trump did really well was drum up his own credit. He literally signed the stimulus check. He's look at me. This is what I did for you. So it's take it, the messaging was he did that pretty well. He's a sales guy. He can sell. He can sell.
Oh, he's a con himself.
Man. Well, but
bad. And so the other part, so to me, it's you're bringing to there is this lack of clear kind of like messaging. And also, I think there is a little bit of like things that were important, or maybe they weren't all at the top ranking for the Latino community, but that I started important, like immigration reforms and things that have been like as the political negotiations and maneuvers have been going. Those are the things that have been shed. And I think that while the community might have not had immigration at their top priority because we're living here, we're under a pandemic, and economically we're very much bearing the brunt, we still care about what is happening. Our families, many of our families are like mixed status. And we see all these things that would have direct impact to our daily life, being the ones that are putting a sacrifice and being dropped out on the negotiating table. So it's like this combination of bad messaging or bad communicating with a very important block of voters, and also not following through with things that are really, really important for that block of voters. So like, if you're saying, you're a business owner, and if you need to have a good sell, like you have a marketing strategy or a sales strategy, but if your work doesn't back that offer, a client could join you, but eventually it's going to drop you because they're going to be like, the product is not that good.
Right.
So I think it's this combination of like, yes, we need better messaging, and I think we need to understand better how all those policies are not just communism, which is what every time, like, the Latinos are super scared of that. Especially, we have covered it in the podcast, how we come from very different regions. There is a lot of red scare going on in our countries. People has fled those kind of like systems. But when we're talking about having a safe or like a robust safety net, social safety net, it's not communism. It's just modern, dignified life.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, let's go back to like the small business example, which I think is like very easy to understand. Yes, you could be selling something, and then you could be doing something. But then there's another thing that I do, at least with my clients, and I know a lot of other businesses do with their clients, is they report. They report on what they've done, because a lot of the clients might not see it. They don't see the inside workings. Like if you're running a social media account, for example, as a client, you might just be seeing the post and you're like, oh, they look great. But then like, it's when you present the numbers that you're saying, hey, your social media following grew by this much, and like your engagement went up by blah, blah, blah. That's when they're like, oh, okay, data, good. Reporting is important because you could say, look, this is what we've done. So like, if you're promising something and you've done it, you better report it. You got to say, we've done it. So there is a sense of like, okay, yes, there are certain things that haven't been done. It's also like 10 months into the administration, and like the administration inherited like 0 plans. So like, it's just like, let's implement a plan from like no plan. And so it's like, it's the first year, and then it's like, but there are things that have been done. Like, maybe the Buildback Together plan hasn't been fully approved, but there have been some provisions that have been approved, like, extended PPP to certain businesses, certain provisions that have actually gone through Congress. And like I said, raise the minimum wage in certain states and things like that. Like, it's like, gotta say it and gotta be really loud about it. And so there's a sense of like, oh, you haven't done anything, just because people just don't know. And there may be things that are working in the background, that could be benefiting people that people don't know about, or people don't know that they could apply to. Because just like, I mean, I've read the Buildback Together plan because I've had to read it for certain projects, but it is massive. And like, nobody's going to read that. It's like reading tax law kind of deal. It's like, nobody's going to read that. And so
you have to give me the bullet points.
Exactly. And so like from experience, I know that people don't read. And I know that, you could put things in front of people like twice and they're not going to read it. You got to put things in front of people like 20 times and in different ways.
So,
and over and over. So it's like, it's a huge messaging issue. And also you got to have the backing of the party. Mm-hmm. Right? This is all politics. This is why politics is called politics.
Yeah. I think, and I'm going to speak from my personal view, like Biden wasn't my particularly preferred candidate amongst the array. I had other candidates. I was not going to vote for the other party, so I was going to support the Democratic candidate. Regardless probably of what it wasn't the most exciting vote that I have to go and cast. I felt like this is a lesser of two evils. I understand the limitations of his trajectory, his political background. I still think he's an integral person. I think he's a person who leads with integrity. I think it's a person that brings a lot of other good qualities to the office. I think that he has a lot of political expertise and experience, and I expected him to be a little more forceful. And I'm not surprised that, given the previous administration, when he was a vice president, that it was a lot of these like, let's unite, let's negotiate, let's be. And I think the other party, the Republican Party, are very good at wielding power. In my experience since I've been in the United States, I don't see the Democrats sometimes as being as effective at wielding power. Like Biden has the House, has this, the Congress, and has the executive office. Mm-hmm. Pass through your agenda. If you don't do it with all those things, when are you going to do it? And now we're heading into midterm elections, and obviously this information is coming up, and it's coming up. I always take it like, who is giving us this news? Does it benefit to make us all think that this bloc that is important for the coalition, for the Democratic Party to remain in power effectively and govern effectively is shaky. So as a strategist, Clem, like how do you do with this information? How does any candidate going into midterms look at this information, gets past the amarillismo and thinks about like, okay, what are we doing? What are we not doing right so we can improve it? What else do we need to get doing so that, because there's also all the laws that were passed in the last year to prevent us from voting. So it's like we have the messaging, we have the legislation that is limiting how we're going to vote. What does the Democratic Party has to do what does Biden has to come out there and do to get him over the midterms?
$1 million question, right? Well, first of all, another thing, and I can't believe I'm saying this so many times, like another good thing that the Trump administration did. Another good thing that the Trump administration did was to get all of the congressmen behind them, and the party. Like the party across the board supported him no matter what. Obviously, no, there's no need to do that because like that's what differentiates us, and it's beautiful that people have their own opinion and that they want to raise flags and things like that. But as you said, Biden has been in government for a very long time, knows a lot of people. So as I said, like getting the party's support and also getting the party's people talking the same thing that I just said, drumming up the things that have been done. So, in saying that the administration giving credit to the administration for things. Congress people really saying, like, we just did this, like, we just passed this, we just blah blah, like, really, coming together. I mean, it's like, it's essential, to make it in the midterms, to say we've done so many great things. We can keep going if you keep us in power. So, over communicating the good things that have been done. And also, misinformation is a huge issue. Especially around, like, what is the president's job? It's like this comes back to, like, I don't know, Obama years. It's like, oh, the dinosaurs died, millions of years ago. Blame it on Obama. It's like, everything was Obama's fault, right? Yeah. So it's like, I think this is all. I think this is really where it started, and it's like, what is the president's fault and what isn't? Yes, the president has influence in a lot of places, but the president is not an authoritarian figure. There's all these branches that are checks and balances. And so it's like, he can't just, like, wave a wand and be like, oh, we're going to be doing all these great things and like, just do it on my own and have zero support. Like, that's why it's called politics. You gotta, like, talk to people, you gotta get people's support, and, like, gotta get Congress on it, gotta get, all this stuff. And so it's like this whole thing about, like, what is the president's job? Like, is the president's fault that the gas prices go up?
Not really.
This is very squishy subject. Like, I personally don't think it is his fault. I think it's we live in a capitalist country, and like, the pandemic has put a lot of stress on a lot of things, and so there's inflation. Now, can just Biden be like, I'm gonna wave my little wand and I'm gonna tell everybody no, they can't raise prices, and then people are just gonna be like, this is not an authoritarian country, so you can't force companies to like freeze prices. And so it's kind of it's like, all of a sudden, it's like all the blame is always put on the president. And I'm just not talking about Biden here. I'm just talking about, like, in general, like, I think that ever since Obama, it's like everything is blamed on the president, blame it on the president. And so there's a lot of misinformation, especially from the opposition on this. It's like, oh, that so-and-so happened. Well, it's Biden's fault. But
I think the opposition was really good at the opposition was really good at, like, deflecting responsibility for things that were their responsibility and claiming, like, the props for things that weren't. Like, and I think that is something for us that is difficult as citizens to understand, is how the policies of the previous administration continue to influence economics and social issues into the first years of the next administration. And by the time you kind of begin to level things up, the midterms come, and you can restart all over again. And thinking about what you just said about what is the responsibility of the president, I think the president has a lot of leeway. I think there's executive, people can do a lot of executive things. Like, Obama did a lot of things by executive order. Trump did a lot of things by executive order. The difficult thing about that is, like, the next person comes in and they scratch them, right? So ideally, you want to pass strings and make them into law, but we're in such a divided political moment that no major piece of legislation has been passed in a long time. And every time something gets put forward, it's, by the time it gets to that final signing, it's a Frankenstein completely of that original plot. And we don't understand as citizens that process. We don't. And I think we come from very different systems. Even understanding how voting works in this country, and we've talked about this, it's not one vote, one person, one vote. Like a vote of someone in a different state might have a very different weight value than someone in a city. So as we understand as community how this system works, the pandemic has also highlighted a lot of like the cracks in the system, right? We live in a place in which the uber rich got richer. So these inflation terms, like there's people who made like a gazillion more money, and that is not trickling down to their employees.
It never
so
trickles
we live
down.
It never trickles down. It doesn't work. Remember that. So if the head of if that company is made $36 billion in one day, and the employees don't have sick time, is that what we want? Is that still what we continue to want as communities? Like, what are we dreaming of?
But what is the responsibility of the federal level, and what is the responsibility of the state level, right? And this is where the midterms are really important, because, and this is again messaging. It, like, sometimes it doesn't really matter what the president is doing. What really matters is what your Congress people are doing. So if you go and, like, you may disagree with the president, but like, pay attention to who you're voting for at your state level and at your local level. Those guys, those people influence your life a lot more than the president. So so it's like, this is where it really matters to like understand how things work in the midterms, because it's like, you know, people are just like, oh, it's the president's fault. So I'm gonna punish the president by,
it's always
you
his
know,
fault.
Yeah. So it's like, so I think there's you know, this is not just this administration. I feel like, you know, the Democratic Party, you know, needs to do a lot of thinking about the messaging, how to have a united front, and how to communicate things in a simple, easy to understand way, but without sounding like authoritarian or elitist or like all these things that, you know, the party is being called communists, you know, all kinds of things. Like, you know, the Republican Party has done a great job about defining the Democratic Party. Why can't we define ourselves? You know, so it's time for us to be able to define ourselves. Not other people define us. We define us.
Yeah. And I think recognizing that, you know, the point that you just made, the importance of in the midterm elections of like the congressperson who is going to go from your community to represent you, like that is the closest we're going to have. Like, you can go to their office, you can ask for their help, and we don't even know how to interact, because I know that in Guatemala, like, that's not how los diputados work, right? Like, they're over there, like, we don't even know who you're voting for. It's a list, and everyone in that list got in. And here is very different, and I appreciate that. We need to understand all these little processes, and I know we are exhausted. I know that the last thing we want to do after working long hours, after worrying about our abuelas being healthy and our children in the school, and after you teaching everyone through Zoom, like, we're exhausted, and we continue to push through, and we have to be a little bit like, you know, like, give ourselves some compassion, but also acknowledge who has our best interest at heart. And I definitely think that one party has. I don't think that neither one of the parties is perfect. I don't think that neither one of the candidates is perfect, but I definitely think that there is one who has a track history of trying to improve the lives and building coalition. And as long as we can remain if we begin to divide and crack and allow these stories to like divide us, I get worried. I'm like, no, don't ignore our needs. We are an important voting bloc.
I'm worried
We've talked about this, like, we're not your booty call, we're swing voters. We need attention to our issues. And it still feels that we are an afterthought, and I get frustrated. I want to shake him. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like, can't wait.
Shake him like a Polaroid picture.
Chancletazo.
Chancletazo.
Sí, como chancleta.
La chancleta across the room.
La voladora, sí. That's what I want to do sometimes. I'm like, wake up.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So, thank you for like talking about this with me. You know that.
Yeah, this is a safe space for us to vent and throw chancletas and just voice our ideas. So I also would love to hear your ideas out there, and I know you could tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I don't take it personally. I'm not gonna get mad. Tell me I'm wrong, or tell me I'm right, or tell me
if you agreed, or if you are disillusioned with the administration. Tell us why. Let us help us understand. I want to understand. I really am coming at this with curiosity. Like, what are the things that I'm not seeing? I want to understand.
And you know
better.
what, guys out there? I have direct contact with people in power. I talk to them on a day-to-day basis. Tell me how you feel. I want to know, because they want to know. They're always asking, how do people feel? How do you guys feel?
Yeah.
I want to know, because then I can tell them. So tell me.
Yeah.
I'm open. Just let me know.
How do they can leave us a review.
Yes.
They can send us an email. They can leave us comments on social media.
That's right. LatinXYC Pod on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and email is clem@latinxycpod.com. Let us know. You know, I got direct. No, I don't got direct line with Biden, but I got some direct lines with some other people. That would like to know how you guys feel. So let me know.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's all the time we got.
Much.
Thank you so much, Ceci. I always love the way that you post things and the way that you think, and I appreciate you.
Thanks for guiding me, because I'm like, why are they not doing it? I was like, tell me, Clem. Go tell them how to do it.
It's like it's easier said than done. To be honest, there's when people talk about red tape, it's a lot, and that's why it's called politics. It's a lot of things to go through, a lot of hoops to go through. But I'm not defending anyone. I'm just stating facts.
Yeah.
There are some things also that frustrate me about the administration and any administration, but also, gotta face the facts.
We can't go backwards.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. And I hope everyone stays warm and nice and cozy and healthy. Please stay healthy, guys. Bye.
Wear a mask.
Bye.